Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, it's Van Diesel back again with another card fight Vanguard deck profile. So if you guys enjoyed, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, let's go and start, shall we? This time we are covering Royal Paladin, Jewel Knights. So, I don't know, I've never really been a personal fan of Jewel Knights, because I don't know, I just never really liked using them, especially in V, because V Jewel Knights felt really weird, and last time when I used Salome, that was really weird. I think I kind of just threw Salome into a match to die, because I didn't know how to play it. Suddenly, when Ashlei comes out with the reverse, I didn't know how to play it the first round, and this was all on like a video. I think it was Monday that this got released on, the fight video, and then I took a break from the fight for like 2 hours, came back, and suddenly I knew how to play Jewel Knights perfectly. I had every play in my mind. I don't know, I think I've had an epiphany with Jewel Knights, and now I actually start to like them. So let's go ahead and get this deck profile started, and we can show you what's in the deck. So first up, our starter today will be Glime, grade 0 boost, 10k shield, 6k base, auto, and wrote upon, draw a card, then if your opponent Vanguard is a grade 1 or greater, you get a quick show ticket to your hand. Standard starter, nothing special about it. You can really use any starter for this situation because the draw and quick shield is always really helpful, that 5k shield that you can use whenever, and that draw that you possibly top deck off of. As long as your starter has that skill, it doesn't matter what it is, but I do just prefer Glime because since we don't have a Jewel Knight starter, I kind of just resorted to the only starter that, for some reason, I can consider a Royal Paladin starter that is neutral, which is Glime. So, yep, that's Glime. Then our trigger lineup is 4 draw PG and Flash Shield Assault, grade 0 boost, 0 shield, 5k power. Continue your Sentinel, you may have 4s on your deck, and auto guard when placed is card 1, and whatever you use cannot be turned to battle. Okay, standard PG skill. We run the 8 crits and 4 flow, go 4 Bringer Good Luck Epina, which my friend has PTSD from, because literally every time I play Rose against him, I will sack this when I'm about to kill him. And then there's 4 copies of Yujutsu Maiden Elaine as our heal trigger. And the reason this is our heal trigger, not the heal guard, is because heal guards are detrimental to my playstyle. If you want an expanded version of that, go watch the Lost Deck profile, and you will probably get an expanded version of it. Otherwise, that's as much as you're getting. Our trigger lineup here is meant to show off that obviously you need the heals. The 8 crits, this deck gets multi-attack. How many attacks did I think I could got that turn? I think I could have gotten 7, I think. 7. Yeah, if you do it in the right order, you can at least get 7. So the crits are here to, be aggressive on those 7 attacks, along with the Vanguard's possible ability to restand or nullify Sentinels or something in between those. And the draw PG is here to be able to defend you and then act as like hand card fodder, because the thing is you need a lot of hand cards to get off certain skills. So it's really helpful for that. Then we move on to our normal units. First up, 4 copies of Charging Jewel Knight Morvidus. Grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base. I think this is what started the revolution in my mind that I actually like Jewel Knights, because I saw this card and then like the Yusei style from Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's plan of where like every card suddenly falls into place and like there's a line going through all the possible combos. For some reason, this is what instigated it, I think. So I think this is the card that I like the most out of this deck. So act rear, counterblast 1 and put one of your normies to the bottom of the deck. Soul charge 1 and one of your Jewel Knight units get +5 for the turn. So oh, really? It's just one of your units. I thought it was Vanguard. Okay, well, either way, that's pretty good. It can give it to literally anyone. It can give it to herself. It can give it to the Vanguard, which I normally do anyways, or it can give it to another rear guard. So overall, that's an easy 5k, not to mention that soul charges, and it says normal units back, which you're most likely going to call over a lot. So it allows you to prevent yourself from decking out, getting more materials to call out from deck, all for the cost of a counterblast, which the Jewel Knights kind of use and kind of don't interchangeably. Then auto van or rear when your other units placed on top of it, draw a card. That's the gimmick of Jewel Knights. When another unit is placed on top of them, regardless of who they are, you get a benefit out of it. For Morvidus, you just get a free draw, which is really nice because it costs nothing to do it, and the draw can always help you prevent yourself from dying. And it works on van or rear. So, if this is the card you ride, then you ride something on top of it, that's a free draw to replace it. So 4 of Morvidus because it's really good on rear and has a really good Vanguard skill. Then we have 4 copies of Fruiting Jewel Knight Eunice. Terms of like background of the art, my favorite. Terms of girl, not my favorite, as I were to say. I feel like I shouldn't say that because that sounds wrong, but I'm not trying to say anything. I'm just saying. Grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base, auto rear at the end of the battle that this unit boosted, play a normal unit to bottom, soul charge 1, and you may bounce this card to hand. So cool, it's not a mandatory bounce if you don't want to, but it's really nice that she can return herself to hand so you can abuse her with other skills such as Salome's skill or open up rear guard circle. So if you're playing against something like Lock or retiring decks, they can't touch her, meaning that you can either use her to guard with later or you can use her to call her back and not lose her. And not to mention you can send other normal units to bottom so you're not decking yourself out, just like Eunice. I mean, not like Eunice, like Morvidus. And then auto van or rear, when your enemy's placed on her circle, choose one of your opponent's rear guards in the same column as it, murder it, and if no units are retired, draw a card. So that's really nice. So even if they have rear guards, if there's not a rear guard in the same column as the unit that was placed on top of her, you get a free draw. And that's always really nice because you can even do it during the battle phase, and that can possibly help you deck them for triggers, or just maintain hand cards really quickly. And not to mention that could possibly help you murder something that might be causing you a problem later. So all around Eunice is really nice, especially because she can technically change her positions by being bounced to hand. So she's a good card with that soul charge, with the bouncing, with the abilities to kill stuff. All around nice thing, 4 of. Then move on to our last grade 1, 4 of Security Knight, Jewel Knight, Alwayne. Why is this the card I'm infatuated by? You see, I'm normally not the one that likes cards with exposure, but for some reason this is the one that fascinates me, and I cannot tell you why. I just like everything about this. So just gonna move on. Grade 1 boost, 10k shield, 8k base. Act rear, rest this unit and put a normal unit from your drop zone to bottom. Cool, okay, so it doesn't cost a counterblast, and granted, resting it's okay in my book, but it's not horrible in this deck. Soul charge 1. Okay, so all of these have an ability to soul charge one way or another. Choose one of your vanguards and it gets +5 for the turn. Okay. Really nice, can give the vanguard +5, kind of like how you can, Morvidus can, except not restrictively. So Morvidus is not restricted, this one kind of is, but they both give soul charges. The only difference is she rests herself and doesn't cost a counterblast, and that is something you have to keep aware of, because all the great thieves do have some form of counterblast skill. So being able to save on that counterblast but just resting her is really good, especially with the new Ashlei who locks her. So if she gets rested, that doesn't matter because she's going to be useless anyways. So really good skill with that, being able to soul charge in 5k and not costing counterblast or soul blast to use her skill. And then auto van rear, when your other units placed on top of her, look at top 2, choose up to 1 card, Jewel Knight and its card name from among them, reveal it, put it to your hand, and put the rest on bottom in any order. Okay, all we need is a Jewel Knight PG and V, and we're set, because this immediately allows you to search the top 2 for anything. And granted, the chance of there being something good in the top 2 is doubtful if you use people's decks that mix cards together. But if you use my decks where they are, I'm not telling you to use my decks by the way, but if you use my decks where pretty much every normal unit is a part of the same archetype, that basically means you see a normal unit, you get a card. So especially in this deck where literally every card in this deck that's a normal unit is a Jewel Knight. So that's just a free top 2. If there's a normal unit among them, pick one, show it to your opponent, and add it to hand. So that's really good. Can get you set up for later turns. It can get you a grade 3, can get you a grade 2. All around really nice. I like it. 4 of. Probably my least favorite to go on Van. I think my favorite to go on Van is this one, just because it can either kill something or get you a guaranteed draw, while this one can be used for rearguard effects, but still. Then move on to our grade 2s. 3 copies of Dogmatize, Jewel Knight, Sybill, who I think is teaching me a lesson, maybe. Grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. The reason why I say that is because when I was building my Jewel Knight deck, I had no idea how I wanted to build it, and I wanted to run the reverse Ashlei at 4, and I had to cut someone. I was like, you know what? Sybill didn't do me much good when I first got Salome and when I first got Sybill. So I was like, let's cut Sybill down to 3. See what happens. Sybill won me 3 games in a row. If it wasn't for her skill to soul charge, I would have lost so many. Well, maybe not lost, but I wouldn't have won as quickly as I did, and maybe the tables might have been turned on me. So I'm starting to regret cutting Sybill down to 3, and I'm kind of afraid to change it back, because what if she goes back to being useless? But I'm also afraid to keep it, because I feel like one of these days she's gonna smite me, and then everything's gonna go wrong because of that 3 copies. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm being paranoid, or maybe I'm actually being right. So anyways, her skill is auto van rear. When she attacks into anything, put a grade 2 or less card from your hand to soul, draw a card. So everything that is in your deck that isn't a grade 3, that goes to soul, and you get to draw. So that's really nice. It's a way to soul charge in this deck without paying counterblast or paying any additional cost, and you get to replace the cards you sent to soul. So all around, that's an amazing skill, and just for that, I would run her out of 4. Again, put her at 3, and I'm afraid to put her back at 4. And then auto van rear, when your other unit is placed on her circle, look at top 3, choose up to 1 grade 2 or less Jewel Knight from among them, call it to rear guard, and put it to bottom, and then you put the rest to bottom in any order. So that's really good, because it's like this one, except you get to search 1 more card, and you get to call it straight to rear, meaning you can do more multi-attacks, and you can call it over a Jewel Knight that's already existing, meaning you can use that Jewel Knight skill. Like say, for example, you called it over Eunice, you can now kill another unit or possibly get a draw out of it. And the reason why it says grade 2 or less is because if it allowed grade 3s, you would be able to get Ashlei original, who can call more units. So that's why Sybill does her thing, only 1 unit, but that's still pretty good. It allows for multi-attack. It literally does both of her skills without counterblast or soul blast or discarding. It is all around a good card. I would say run out of 4 of. Again, I am very paranoid about putting it back at 4, and I'm very afraid about how I've put it at 3, but we're just going to deal with it and see if she curses me or not. 3 of Sybill, as I pray to her that she does not come back to backstab me, because she actually saved me 3 times. Then we move on to 4 copies of Explode, Jewel Knight, Laile. Grade 2 intercept, 5k shield, 10k base. Auto rear, when it attacks, put 2 normal units from your drop zone to bottom, soul charge 1, this unit gets +5 for the battle. Why is it always her that I can never pull off her skill? Because for some reason when I play Jewel Knights, I get so many, like, I will send stuff back immediately, so I end up getting so many triggers and drop by the time Laile comes out, I have nothing to send back, or I have a 1 unit, but because I can't put 2, I'm just stuck with it, which sucks, because that means I don't get a soul charge and 5k out of it. So weirdly enough, Laile's the most useless card in this deck. Not because her skill is bad, no, she's really good. It's just the time that I get her is always the worst time, because I never have 2 normal units and drop. But still pretty good skill, because if you can pull it off, that's a 15k swing for free, and you get a soul charge out of it. And auto van rear, when your other unit is placed on her circle, that unit gets plus 10 for the turn. Cool, so that thing's guaranteedly hitting unless they sack a trigger. Now, downside to all the soul charging, obviously, is all of these, if you can't tell, are mandatory soul charges. The only one being optional is Sybill, because it's a part of the cost. So, you know, if it will slowly tech you out quicker, and especially because this deck calls a lot from deck, and even though you are sending stuff back, you're soul charging and calling faster than you are actually sending stuff back. So take that as you will. They're still good. You just have to make sure you don't let the game get stalled out too long, because you will end up running out of resources one way or another eventually, or end up running out of triggers. Then you have to actually rely on just multi-attacking being your main victory way. So 4 copies of Laile, because she can definitely get numbers, and she's the single card that can send the most cards back at the deck at once, which is 2. It's a 4 of. Then we have 4 copies of Banding Jewel Knight Miranda. I don't know how to feel about her. So she came along when I had my weird phase of liking the color green, and I still like the color green now, just slightly less. But I swear she was an OG card, and I didn't like her. Because I'm trying to remember from Jewel Knights, what was the Jewel Knight grade 2 I didn't like, and I think it was her. Unless she didn't exist, then there was another grade 2 that I disliked, but I don't remember what it was. Either way, Miranda's skill now is a grade 2 with intercept to 5k shield, 10k base. Auto rear, when this unit attacks while not being boosted, if you have a Vanguard Jewel Knight's card name, counterblast 1, choose one of your Vanguards, and this unit's power becomes that unit's power for the turn. Cool, so the Vanguard sitting at a cool 33, this becomes a cool 33 for only paying a counterblast of 1. That's really nice, because that forces out at least 2 25k guards, 1 for the Vanguard, 1 for the rear guard. Obviously, there's going to PG the Vanguard, but you get the point. And unfortunately doesn't change the critical either, but that's still good, because forces out more cards, and it saves you a booster in a deck that can multi-attack, especially with one of the 2 Ashleys that will just call stuff to front row, meaning you actually do get to keep those boosters, so you're not wasting boosters, so that's amazing. And if you have 2 of them, well, good for you. And then auto van or rear, when your other unit is placed on top of her, soul charge 1, then if you have no face-up card, your damage on counter charge 1. Okay, really wish it was 1 or less, because 1 or less would be so much better, but I can understand why, because playing Jewel Knights after I had my epiphany of how to actually use them, definitely would be a lot more broken if it was 1 or less. I tell you what, because so many times if it was 1 or less, that would have been an instant win, I tell you, for multiple reasons. Like the combos I could have done, bullshit. But still a good card, because it's a free soul charge, grants a mandatory soul charge, but whatever, and it's a basically free counter charge if you can have no face-up damage. So you just gotta play it right, but she's really good, gets numbers, fixes resources, all around good grade 2, 4 of. Then we move on to our grade 3s. 4 copies of, I'm sorry, not 4 copies, 3 copies of Pure Heart Jewel Knight Ashlei. So we are at a grade 3, twin drive, 4 skip, 13k base. Every time I look at this, I want to call her Athena for some reason. Like, because Athena sounds like a Genesis name, but when I look at her, I get the Genesis theme because she has like the winged ears, and then like literally her art has the wings on it, and then like everything about her reminds me of a Genesis card, and I don't know why I want to call her Athena every time I look at her. So auto van or rear, at the end of the battle she attacked anything. Soul Blast 2, search your deck to 1 grade 2 or less card with Jewel Knight's card name, call it to rear guard circle, and shuffle your deck. It can be on top of her if she wants to be, if she was on rear, that is. And then if she was actually on van when she did this, you may call 2 instead of 1. Okay, downside is they don't get the benefit of triggers. Upside is you're getting 2 more attacks. So you can like call on top of Miranda, get one of your souls back, maybe call on top of Laile, give someone plus 10, and then maybe call Sybill, I guess, just in case you want to call more stuff over. Granted, it says 2 grade 2 or less, so you can't just call another Ashlei, but she's still pretty good. You do run her 3 though, because she's not meant to be on van. If you get her on van, good for you, but I don't suggest it, especially because she works better on rear, because she allows for more multi-attacks since it happens at the end of the battle. That means you can call on top of her. And then her other ability, the one that activates when there's something called on top of her, is auto van or rear. The only cards that cost stuff when they get on top of them is that when you place something on top of them is the grade 3s, which is counter blast 1. When something's placed on her circle, that unit gets plus 1 crit for the turn. Laile it. Make sure it's Laile. because Laile will get numbers. Laile will swing for 15, Shadow Force 1 on it, that's 25. With a booster, let's just say it's 33, double crit. Or make it Miranda. That is possibly 33 double crit if you are on a broken Ashlei for whatever reason, and you're able to do this. That would be possibly 43 double critical somehow. I question why and how you would be able to do this, but whatever. All around, Ashlei's pretty good with the combo. She can leap into it. She can get multi-attack out. Unfortunately, every card in Jewel Knight is restricted to grade 2 or less solely so that they don't allow Ashlei to be broken, which is very sad. But she is like the main setup for them, so 3 of. Then we have 3 copies of Leading Jewel Knight Salome. So I don't like her art solely because, while I like her armor and I like her hair and I like the sword and I like this little rose in her hair and I like the background we can see, it's just the Royal Paladin flag. It's just the Royal Paladin flag. Actually, sorry, not the Royal Paladin flag. It might just be like the United Sanctuary flag, but you get the point. Like, it's very vanilla in my opinion, but like, it's still good because her skill, being a grade 3 with 200 force gift 13k base, is auto van once per turn at the end of the battle that she swung. Again, missing out on triggers, but that's fine. Counter boss 1, choose any number of cards from your hand with Jewel Knights in their card name, call into rearguard circles with units on them, regardless if they're standing or not. Okay, cool. So you can get 2 more attacks. And then if you call 3 or more and your opponent's vanguard's at grade 3, Soul Blast 4, stand it. This is what I mean by Sybill Save Me. I did not remember, because it was so long since I played Salome on Van, that I had forgotten that it actually requires 4 soul for her ability to go off. If I did not use Sybill the turn earlier when it was on my Vanguard circle, I actually would have been 1 soul short, so I'm really glad I used Sybill, and I was so happy, which is why I'm afraid of Sybill. Like, is this good luck and she's ready to curse me or something, or why I'm also afraid to put her back at 4. But either way, that's a really good skill, being able to stand herself without losing drive checks, and she allows for multi-attack, basically meaning a full board restand because of this left you can call on top of her, and that's what Eunice is really good for, because that means you can call 4 rear guards, swing with the 4, and then Eunice being boosting one of them, send something to bottom, bounce itself to hand, you may soul charge 1, and then that's 1 extra Jewel Knight you can call to rear guard circle over with Salome's skill, and that means that's 1 less card you have to worry about when using her skill, because that's always something I panic about, because normally when I use her, I have exactly 3 Jewel Knights in hand, and that means I have to sack them, and then that means next turn, unless I get like really lucky in my other drive checks, I'm not going to be able to use her skill again, which is why I have to get another grade 3 very quickly. But Salome's still really good with that Vanguard restand and multi-attack that she can give you, and then auto van or rear, when your other unit's placed on top of her, you may counter boss 1, the unit on that circle gets +10 and +1 drive for the turn. So if you ride a unit on top of her, you have a Vanguard at the very least 23k base and triple drive, and if that's another Salome, then that means you have a Vanguard that swings twice with 23 at the very least with triple drive on both occasions. And then if it's an Ashlei, well, good for you, and you're just getting numbers. And if it was on rear, then cool, the unit on it, it still gets +10, but it's just basically a worse Laile. But either way, Salome's a really nice grade 3, works really well on van or rear, works really well as a support grade 3 when she's ridden on top of, and all around with the multi-attack and standing she can do, it's a good card. I suggest running it at a 3 of. If you want to run out of 4 of, you can, but I prefer to go 3-3 on these 2 grade 3s, with our last grade 3 being at 4 copies of Broken Heart Jewel Knight Ashlei Reverse. Okay, I think I've said it in the as on the Vanny video with the Euro Giraffe, that if you put white on a like villain card, it makes me care about it more for whatever reason. Like, I feel more dreadfully terrified of it, and that's what this one is. Like, it doesn't terrify me a lot, but like, it's kind of like the Darkness of Purity or something, because you got the full white background. Her armor, while yes being part white, is also tainted by the red evil of the reverse, with obviously that really cool reverse spiral behind her. So she's a grade 3 with 200 force gift 13k base. Her skill being Active Vanguard, Soul Blast 2, lock 1 of your rear guards, the highest Soul Blast cost we've had right now, and so far the only actually no it's not. Salome has more by like double, but it's not a once per turn, weirdly enough, and this is what all the soul charging goes for. Weirdly enough, you only use Salome once during this, unless you really need to do her twice, but otherwise you use all that soul charging for a reverse over here. Lock 1 of your rear guards, choose 1 of your opponent's farmer rear guards, murder them, look at top 4, choose up to 1 choose up to 1 Jewel Knight of any grade, call it to rearguard circle, and put the rest on bottom. This is the only Jewel Knight card that superior calls unless Sybill says otherwise. Nope, Sybill does not say otherwise. This is the only Jewel Knight card that isn't Salome, and yeah, that isn't Salome and herself, that can literally call Ashlei. These are the only 2 cards in the deck that can call Ashlei. Cool. Really nice. It allows you to get a rear guard. Granted, you have to lose one in response to Soul Blast 2, but you're at least murdering one of their interceptors. Or if they're playing an Excel deck, you just got a buffet that you can fucking murder all at once. And then Auto Van, and it's not once per turn either. Auto Van, when this unit attacks, if you have 2 or more locked cards, okay, cool. So just Soul Blast 4, lock 2, get 2 more rear guards, murder 2 rear guards. So all you really have to do is commit 2 hand cards. And if you already have 2 rear guards, don't bother calling for the rest of the turn. Just use her skill. Counterblast 1. Search it after 2 grade 2 or lower cards with Jewel Knight in their card game. You don't have to pick 2, but you can. Call into rear guard circle, shuffle your deck. And then for each locked card, not for each unit called, but for each locked card, this unit gets plus 10 for the turn. So at the very least, she is swinging for 33. 20 from the 2 locked cards that you have to use her skill, and then the regular 13k base, assuming you didn't shove any other power boosting skills on her. Yeah, this is what the resting part of her skill comes in, because you just give 5k more to her, then you just keep locking her like I did. And then if you have 3 or more lock cards to end the battle, your opponent cannot call Sentinels from hand to guard circle. So the downside to this is, to do that, you would have to call over a unit, because you're most likely going to lock your back row, and then your front row, you're just going to have to call something over with it. But unless you really play smart and your board's pretty much empty except for 1 rear guard, and then you just kind of like loop it. But you'd also have to waste a retire, because your opponent doesn't have 3 front rear guard circles unless they're playing an Excel deck. In that case, cool, go for it, murder their fucking rear guard. But either way, Ashlei's really good, because she can get rid of rear guards. She can make you a quick board. She's one of the only 2 cards that can actually call the original Ashlei, meaning you can get more multi-attacks. She herself gives you more multi-attacks, and she is at very least a 33k swing when you use her skill. And can possibly restrict Sentinels for the battle. So all around, she's an amazing grade 3 to have on Van. Very deadly. My preferred move is to go Salome first, show them that I mean business, put pressure on them, ride into Ashlei reverse, like fuck over every resort that they had left against surviving 6 attacks last turn, and then make sure you either go for game now, or at least make it so they're severely crippled. Either way, Ashlei reverse is an amazing grade 3. I love her. The second we get more soul charging cards, this thing becomes far more broken. 4 of Ashlei reverse. Then we have her gifts, 6 force 1, 6 force 2s, not this one. So when they're both acquired, they go on Van rear. They can both be put on the same circle multiple times, except force 2 does not stack, because it's not that good in this deck, and then force 1 does stack, because it is good in this deck. So force 1, the unit on its circle gets plus 10 during your turn for each copy, and it does stack like I said. So if there's 1 on 1 circle, then the unit on that circle gets plus 10. If there's 3, plus 30. If there's 4, plus 40. If there is 7, plus 70, you get the point. Force 2, the unit on this circle, the original critical becomes 2, so it would stack if it was the unit's critical gets plus 1, unless it said the unit's original critical get plus 1, then it still wouldn't stack. But point is that it basically makes any unit on that circle's critical 2, except meaning it can do more damage, except the downside to this is it doesn't stack, meaning that you're getting far less power out of it. And while yes, multi-attack is really crazy, especially with 2 crit on each of those multi-attacks, this is not a deck that can pump out numbers on their own. Like, yeah, Vanguard column can pump out numbers, not the rear guard columns, unless all your rear guard columns happen to be buffed up by Laile. So, or Salome for some reason. So yeah, force 1's the way to go, because you're more aggressive with your numbers, and the multi-attack will far make up for the extra criticals. Now, if we start getting more cards that can plus more numbers, like we get a set order for some reason that gets plus 5 every time, that gives your unit plus 5 every time it's called, then I say maybe force 2 is considerable, but I still think force 1 is probably the best in this deck. Then we have a quick shield, which activates when one of your units is attacked. The unit being attacked is plus 5k for the battle. So just a free 5, you can typically use this to discard for pretty much actually not anything. It's only assault that can actually discard. So if you don't discard for assault, you just got a free 5k shield. So use it how you please. Either use it as PG fodder or use it as an actual 5k shield. All around, it's a good card to have just because you get it from the start for free. So keep it in mind. And that's it for the deck. I hope you guys enjoyed. All around, it's pretty strong. Like, I remember I did not like Eunice before, and I remember I dreaded like having to record that match at the very start because I didn't want to do it because I just didn't want to play Jewel Knights. But Jewel Knights were really fun once I got into the moment, and I had that moment where I just learned how to play them perfectly for the moment. And then I got like every single play going down in my mind, everything that could go right, and then just getting to do all those multi-attacks, getting to be able to restand the Vanguard, getting to be able to call units over on top of each other and get like a chain of skill going off. I don't know. That's what makes Jewel Knights fun to me. They're really nice. I think Bushy definitely hit it out of the park with a lot of gimmicks. Some gimmicks I say they're kind of wasted. Some gimmicks I say shouldn't be integrated into other stuff. You know what I'm talking about, Bushy. Takis don't need multiple decks to have a quick gauge basis. But I think Jewel Knight's calling over gimmick is a really good thing, and I think Bushy hit it out the park. So I'm going to end it here. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join Discord, follow Twitch, and I'll see you all in the next one. Don't forget to stand up your Vanguards.